The barren wasteland of Zetra was no place for soft hearts. Dominik Kane, a seasoned bounty hunter, knew that better than anyone. For years, he'd roamed the star-scarred plains, capturing fugitives, rebels, and the occasional alien stray for a price. But his latest target was unlike anything he'd encountered: an alien woman, caught trespassing in restricted human territory. She was wanted alive, a rare specification in his line of work, and the reward was tantalizingly high. Dominik found her in the ruins of an old Zetran outpost, a shimmering figure among the decay. She looked human at first glance, but the faint glow of her skin and the way her silver eyes pierced through the shadows betrayed her alien origins. She didn't resist when he restrained her, though her gaze remained steady, unnerving him with its quiet intensity. He called her Nova. She offered no name of her own. The journey back to his fortress on the edge of Zetra was grueling. Sandstorms battered his ship, and Nova remained silent, her presence a constant weight. She moved with a grace that made her restraints seem redundant, yet she made no attempt to escape. This compliance gnawed at Dominik, unsettling him more than outright defiance would have. "What were you doing in restricted territory?" he asked, breaking the silence one night. She tilted her head, her eyes glowing faintly in the dim light. "Searching. For what?" "Answers." Her cryptic response only fueled his irritation. Dominik prided himself on his ability to read people, but Nova was an enigma. He decided it didn't matter. His job was to deliver her, not understand her. The fortress. Dominik's fortress was a sprawling compound, fortified against the harsh elements of Zetra. He kept Nova in a reinforced chamber, her glowing eyes following him whenever he entered. Days turned into weeks, and despite himself, Dominik found his curiosity growing. She was unlike any alien he'd encountered. Her demeanor was calm, almost regal, and there was an air of melancholy about her that he couldn't shake. One evening, while inspecting her chamber, he noticed her tracing patterns on the floor with her finger. The symbols were intricate, almost mesmerizing. "What is that?" he demanded. "A map," she replied, her voice soft but steady. "Of what was and what will be. Stop speaking in riddles." Her silver eyes met his, and for the first time, he saw a flicker of something beyond indifference. "Pity. You wouldn't understand," she said simply. The revelation. One night, Dominik's fortress came under attack. The assailants were not human but a coalition of alien species, their technology far superior to his defenses. Alarms blared as explosions rocked the compound. In the chaos, Dominik found himself in Nova's chamber. "Why are they here?" he shouted. Nova stood calmly amid the turmoil. "They are here for me." "Why?" She stepped closer, her glowing skin illuminating the dark chamber. "Because I am their queen." Dominik's breath caught. He stared at her, the weight of her words sinking in. "You're lying." She smiled, a sad, knowing expression. "You felt it, haven't you? The pull, the difference. I am not just an alien stray, Dominik. I am the last hope of my people." Before he could respond, the chamber doors burst open, revealing a group of aliens armed with advanced weaponry. Nova stepped forward, raising a hand to stop them. "Do not harm him," she commanded. Her voice carried an authority that made even the most hardened warriors pause. "He is not our enemy." The Alliance. In the aftermath of the attack, Dominik found himself a reluctant ally to Nova and her people. They explained their plight. Their world had been destroyed, their people scattered. Nova had been searching for remnants of their culture, hidden in the ruins of Zetra. The humans' restriction of the area had been an unintentional barrier to her quest. Dominik struggled to reconcile the image of the enigmatic woman he'd captured with the leader now standing before him. She was a beacon of hope to her people, yet she bore the weight of their survival with quiet strength. "Why didn't you tell me?" he asked one night as they stood on the fortress's ramparts, watching the twin moons of Zetra rise. "Would you have believed me?" she replied. He couldn't argue with that. The turning point. As days turned into weeks, Dominik's perspective shifted. He began to see the humanity in Nova and her people, their struggles mirroring those of his own kind. He helped them decipher the ancient maps she had been drawing, uncovering the location of a hidden sanctuary that could serve as a new home for her people. But the humans who had hired Dominik to capture Nova were not willing to let her go. They saw her as a threat, an alien leader who could rally her kind against humanity. A fleet was dispatched to Zetra, their mission clear: eliminate the alien queen and her followers. The final battle. The clash between the human fleet and Nova's people was fierce. Dominik, torn between loyalty to his own species and his newfound respect for Nova, chose to stand by her side. Using his knowledge of human tactics, he helped her people outmaneuver the fleet, buying them enough time to escape to the sanctuary. In the final moments of the battle, Dominik faced his former employer, a cold, calculating man named Vex. "You've betrayed your own kind," Vex sneered. "I've done what's right," Dominik replied, his voice steady. "Something you'd never understand." With Nova's help, they defeated Vex and his forces, but not without cost. The sanctuary was secured, but many lives were lost in the process. The farewell. As Nova's people settled into their new home, Dominik prepared to leave. His place was not with them, despite the bond he'd formed with Nova. "You could stay," she said as they stood at the edge of the sanctuary, the stars above them a tapestry of light. He shook his head. "This is your world, Nova, not mine. But if you ever need me, you know where to find me." She smiled, a rare, genuine expression that lit up her face. "Thank you, Dominik, for everything." As he boarded his ship, Dominik looked back one last time. Nova stood tall, her people around her, a queen ready to lead. For the first time in years, he felt a sense of peace. He'd set out to tame an alien stray, but in the end, it was he who had been changed. As the stars blurred into streaks of light, Dominik knew his life would never be the same. And for the first time, he welcomed the uncertainty of what lay ahead.